We are here this afternoon for the regular meeting of the Board of Estimate Apportionment. Today is Wednesday, October 21st, 2015. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Mersley.
Present.
Comptroller Green. Here. President Reed.
Here. Okay, items presented for the first time. Item number 1, request from the Comptroller's Office for approval of contracts and leases for various city departments as listed on Exhibit A. Item 2, request from the Comptroller's Office for approval of intra-departmental and interdepartmental transfers from various city departments as listed on Exhibit B. Item 3, request from the Comptroller's Office for approval of transfers between projects for capital improvement funds as listed on Exhibit C. Item 4, request from the Deputy Comptroller's Office for approval to distribute all vouchers and invoices for fiscal year 2013. Item 15, request from the Director of Public Safety for approval of Board Bill number unknown. This ordinance appropriates U.S. Department of Homeland Security funds in the amount of $206,262 from the Federal Emergency Management Agency for the purpose of funding the Get Alarmed program. 6, request from the Commissioner of Corrections, Department of Public Safety for approval of 3 new positions for Department 633, 1 correctional program manager and 2 correctional caseworkers. Item 7, request from the Executive Director of Community Development Administration for approval of a Board Bill number unknown. This ordinance authorizes the Mayor to submit an annual action plan to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for 2016 Community Development Block Grant, $16,650,204. Home Investment Partnership, $2,100,000. Emergency Shelter Grant, $1,504,937. And Housing Opportunities for People with AIDS, $1,403,962 for a total of $21,659,103. So it's $21,659,103. Item 8, request from the Director of Development Corporation for the St. Louis Development Corporation for approval of Board Bill number 182. This ordinance is for issuance not to exceed $3 million of industrial revenue bonds pursuant to Chapter 100. The bonds will facilitate personal property tax abatement acquired by Square Incorporated. Right. That's the extent of the items presented for the first time. Do we have any additions, corrections, or deletions at this time?
I'd like, on item number 1, I'd like to take up on Exhibit A, the line items 5 and 6. I'd like to take line items 5 and 6 up separately.
Okay, you want to take them up separately?
Remember the airport?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so we will, so there's no additions, correction, or deletions. So what we'll do is we'll take a vote on items 2 through 8 as printed. We'll take a motion on that. We'll start with that.
I move that we adopt items 2 through 8 as printed.
Okay, so items 2 through 8. Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it unanimously. Items 2 through 7 have been 2 through 8 have been approved. With that, we'll take up item number 1, and we can break it down into it was the
1 through 4.
Well, all items except for lines 5 through 6.
okay.
That's for motion.
It's just really just 6. Really just item 6 is the main one I have questions about.
Okay,
Yeah, so I move that we adopt item number 1, Exhibit A, 1 through 5, 7 through 30.
Okay, the motion's been made.
Second?
It's been seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Those items, 1 through 5 and 7 through 30, have been unanimously approved under the item number 1 of the agenda, Exhibit A. And so that leaves one item on Exhibit A, which is number 6 under Lambert. Or is it?
Yeah, under
Lambert St. Louis International Airport continuation. So there's item 6, this contract is for operation and maintenance of airport baggage handling system services. Duration of the contract is November 1st, 2015 through October 31st, 2018. Total amount of contract is $8,360,000. Total contract amount FY 15 and 16 in the amount of $1,857,777.78 for Vanderland Industries Incorporated. Okay, so is there a motion for approval?
So, Mr. Mayor, is there a reason you skipped 5?
No, I included 5.
We included 5 in the last
Yeah.
one. He
Yeah.
changed his motion.
I changed it
So
to
it was
5.
1 through 5? that
Yeah,
you
1 through
Yeah.
5, and then 7 to 30.
All right,
Yeah.
'cause I remember 1 through 4.
No,
Sure.
yeah, that it was originally 1 through 4. I changed it.
All right, just double checking.
Okay, do we have a motion for approval? All right, I'll make a motion to approve item number 6. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, at the airport commission, I was asking questions about this contract, and I have a lot of concerns on a number of different levels. Number one, this company is out from a whole nother country, and with the challenges we have with employment and with keeping businesses here in the city of St. Louis, I think that we could have found a vendor closer to home and that has a good track record of employment and employing people from our region in this position. And the current company was a PB or whatever. They've done a good job for us. They have the ability to learn the technology that comes with these baggage systems, and I just didn't see the reasoning behind it. So for that reason, I don't support it. And I tried to get some of those questions answered at the commission meeting, but we're on a tight schedule.
What questions did you not get the answer that you asked at the commission? So we just want to make sure we're clear.
Well, a number of questions. One of the things that they said is one of the reasons they liked this company. They said that this company fixed things and responded when questions were asked. Well, that's what the company was paid to do. That's really nothing special. The current company that we had fixed things and responded when they were requested to do so also. The other reason that this company was chosen, or the airport director said they really liked this company, is because the company is more familiar with the new technology in the new baggage handling system, which makes me also think about some of the employees that may be displaced out there who should be given the opportunity to learn that new baggage handling system and continue doing a good job.
Okay. We've got our airport director here. I'd like to recognize Mahogany Bring, your airport director. But if the comptroller wants to speak, she can go first.
I had a concern as well. I learned subsequent to it being presented at the airport that this company had an issue in terms of union labor. So I wanted to bring that point to the table, because if there's an issue with the union labor, this being a labor city state, I have an issue with it as well. So that's the point that I wanted to bring up, that was something I read in the paper, and I believe I received a letter concerning it, but I've been receiving so many letters I don't recall for sure, but I believe I received a letter about the issue regarding union labor, and so if that is a problem, then I have a concern as well.
So you have a problem with non-union labor,
Yeah.
and you have a problem with...
Keeping the employees that have been doing a good job.
Okay, what was the vote at the commission, by the way? What was the vote?
It was a unanimous vote,
Okay.
and there were no abstains.
Okay, so everybody at the table had representatives that supported it?
Yes.
Okay, so now explain why you're recommending we take this particular vendor.
Right. And I also wanted to introduce, I have Ron Stella, he's the Deputy Director of Ops and Maintenance with me today. So when we looked at the proposals and the contracts, there were actually a number of reasons. And Vanderlaan does have a North American headquarters. They're based in Atlanta, Georgia. So the other company is not a St. Louis-based either company. We checked. There is no license to do business in the state of Missouri, so they're an Illinois-based company.
Okay.
But Vanderlaan is a U.S.-based company based out of, is it?
Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta, Georgia, Marietta, Georgia.
Okay.
So when we looked at the contract and we looked at this system, Vanderlaan operates this system in 48 airports currently today. PBP operates a small portion of it, I believe, in 2 other airports. We went into a new system. We used to have an older baggage system where people dropped their bags off and it went through a screening process and you saw the big machines. We got a federal grant for just shy of $50 million a few years ago to build a new inline baggage system. With that comes a lot of responsibilities to ensure with that grant that they're meeting the best use of that system that we can possibly meet. So Vanderlaan, the system was built. The company that built the system employed Vanderlaan to maintain that system because they were under a warranty. That warranty is now expiring, thus the reason the airport's taking on the system as a whole. Prior to this system being installed, the airlines were responsible for a portion of all the systems because it wasn't one entire baggage system, it was individual systems. So now that it's under one, the airport takes responsibility on the entire system for the maintenance and operation of it. So when that contract was let and put out, that's how it was put out. It was not only for the operation of it, but the maintenance of it. And it was clear to us once, and PVP.
Okay, clarify for us who the bidders were and what the bid amount was for, and the bid amounts.
Mr. Mayor, it was a request for proposals. So we had a selection committee from the Office of the Mayor, Office of the Board of Aldermen, and
Office of the President of the Board of Aldermen?
President of Aldermen.
And the Controller's Office.
And the Controller's Office.
Right.
And 2 from the airport.
Right.
We met, we had 3 proposals that were submitted, one from Vanderlaan, one from PBP, and one from ELS out of Texas. We're obligated to look at the most qualified company first. We said, we all agreed that Vanderlaan was the most qualified. However, we wanted further information. We elected, as the committee, elected to interview PBP and Vanderlaan over the phone. A number of questions.
We being whom?
The selection committee, sir.
Okay.
The selection committee interviewed Vanderlaan, interviewed PBP, and at the end of that, we took a vote that was unanimous amongst the selection committee members that the most qualified candidate was Vanderlaan.
Qualified in terms of the ability to do it?
Yeah, the
Okay.
most experience,
Right.
and then they were also the lowest priced company
Okay.
to do it.
So-
So not only is the city going to receive the most qualified vendor, we're going to receive the lowest cost vendor.
Okay, so what was the difference in the bids? from-
Approximately $538,000 over a 3-year term, sir.
So what does that mean? So the company that is being recommended here bid 500, would have saved, it compared to the other bids, would save the airport how much?
We'll be saving the city of St. Louis $538,000.
$500,000 over 3 years?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, all right, so then what happened?
We review the participation requirements through our DBE office. That gets vetted, and then we negotiate the contract out and try to award it through this process.
Okay, and then what happened?
We took it to the airport commission on the first
And it was
Wednesday of the
approved
month.
unanimously by the airport commission.
That is correct, sir.
Okay, so the second highest bidder was whom?
Second highest bidder was PVP, sir.
And was that a union? Do they have union?
They have union
workers there. And I'm a big union supporter too. I believe me, we do what we can to try to help support unions now. So so the union company, do they have any other contracts at the airport?
Yes, they were just awarded in the same commission meeting, and what we're presenting here, Board Bills 5, is to award them a contract for $3 million. It's called the Airport Mechanical Services Contract. PVP was the incumbent, and we are recommending award of the Board Bill 5 to PVP. That's a $3 million contract. I work very closely with
Okay.
PVP for jet bridge services, glycol pumping systems, and water stations.
Okay, are you aware, now you guys aren't lawyers, but in terms of what we can do as far as bidding, when we bid them out, we bid out based upon price and ability, right?
Most quality, yes, that's
Most
correct.
quality.
We do not have, within the procurement process, which we follow, which is the process of the city, we have to look at the most qualified and best bidder. So that's the process that was followed, the process that was awarded, and now bringing forward.
And now we've had a unanimous support until right now, I guess. I mean, I did not know we had opposition here. I thought this thing was going through. It seemed like we had support from the selection committee, the airport commission, representatives from both of my colleagues here at the table. And we are now at a point where we've changed our minds.
It's not to state that
I get it. If there's a problem, we want to know what it is. That's all. This is kind of like a surprise for me.
For me,
Yeah.
I found out subsequent to the meeting. I did vote for the selection at the time because it was unanimous, as the director stated. But then I read about, I believe I received a letter regarding the fact that this was a non-union. But I do know for a fact, and I'm not a lawyer either, but I'll state that I believe that companies that are traditionally non-union, for example, Marriott Hotel, if they come into a union town, then they make the agreement such that they will use union workers, and that could help in terms of those people who are union, who would be qualified to do this work, that are local, they would not lose their jobs, and that they will work with the union. So I do believe there may be room to work with the contract in terms of union workers, but that could affect the overall cost.
I kind of need to figure out where we are, because a couple of things. Require somebody to be
No,
union?
we cannot.
And do they have some kind of wage requirements, like prevailing wage? Or
They do.
Okay.
So we are required to do prevailing wage. All of that is met, that is audited throughout the life of any contract to ensure that they're meeting the prevailing wage. So we've gone through this numerous times. We made it very clear at the commission meeting, this was a non-union group. There's nothing to keep the union from going in and talking to the company and trying to unionize their employees. There's absolutely no will to do that. There's nothing that would stop that. But we have no requirements in the procuring process to deem that as one of the requirements when we're looking at awarding a bid.
Well, can we do it? I mean,
No, not based on what
my
the
understanding is we don't have the ability legally.
not
We
based
got a
on-
lawyer here who's not sure he's really ready to opine on it, but.
You're correct. We cannot simply have a flat requirement.
So in other words, we can't turn somebody down because they say they're non-union.
That's
Right.
correct.
That would be illegal. We'd be sued, right? Or we could be sued.
Right, that's correct.
All right, that's part of the dilemma we have here. I think we're all, well, I can't speak for all of us, but at least the members here have already indicated, we're strong union supporters. We do all we can to try to provide opportunities. I signed a executive order for a PLA, Project Labor Agreements, to help try to, make sure that we have, labor peace and as we have construction projects, but as we go forward, I just would like to be let in on some of the, I didn't realize we had this dilemma here, and I'm trying to figure out how we go forward, because we're going to need at least one of your votes to move this forward. If you're not against it, if you're not for it, then we're going to have to table this thing until some other time, because it's not going to get passed by one vote or one support. From my standpoint, I want to follow the law.
Yeah.
I want to make sure, and by the way, the union contractor got a $3 million. We just approved a $3 million.
Yeah, but again, this is not just about that. It's there are some workers that are going to be displaced through this thing. That even though they have to pay prevailing wage, and I know there are 1,000 different ways to slice that pie on the benefit side and everything else that ends up that $500,000 that we're looking at. 3/4 of that are going to come out of the workers' hides out there
Okay,
somehow.
so what do you
I think we need some time to look at this,
Right.
and if you're recommending that we table
You've
it,
had more time to look at it than I have. So let me ask you this. So what's happened between the two times you supported it and today? I haven't voted for it at all myself, but apparently you all have.
I didn't support it two times. I didn't support it two
Okay.
times.
So you voted against it, or your representative voted against it?
You're going to give me an opportunity to talk.
I've given it to you.
At the commission hearing, when I had questions about it at the commission hearing, the director took over the conversation and then took it directly from her conversation directly to a vote, right? So we didn't even have time to really dig into this thing at the commission hearing, as most of the things that come before the commission hearing. When they come before the commission hearing, those things are cooked before they get there. When it gets over here to City Hall, that's when we really have a time to really dig into these things. And again, if you're going the wrong way, if you leave here right now to go to Mobile, Alabama, and you go north on 55, are you going to continue to go north on 55 when you find out you're supposed to go south? No, you're going to stop and go the right way.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter. We need to have more time to take a look at this to find out what's behind us. Today's the first time I've heard that they have an office in Atlanta, Georgia. Does that mean that they have an administrative staff and a bidder sitting in the office, or do they actually have a office, right? I mean,
This
again,
thing has, we put together a commission. Look, let me tell you, we're gonna have, apparently this thing doesn't look like it's gonna pass today, but I just want to.
It doesn't hurt to
I'm
hold
just
it.
gonna try to, I want to make sure we do this right, but when you put together a committee that does puts it out for a bid and proposal, and actually looks at the proposal and has meetings, that was something I set up to make sure that we have time to look at it. So there isn't anything that's already cooked, and there is some. Now, if you miss something, I get it. That happens, okay? But don't blame it on the process. Then we go to the airport commission. There's 17 people on there, and organized labor does have representatives.
But Mr. Mayor, if we're sitting here and we have questions about it, who cares? At the end of the day, we have questions about it. We should be able to ask the questions. We should be able to, through thoughtful deliberation, talk about this thing. And if you're recommending that we table it and hold it, let's just table it and hold it. Nobody's gonna be hurt if we table this thing.
Actually, it is, because the contract on the current maintenance ends. So, we answered, we left plenty of opportunity at the Airport Commission. We answered a lot of questions on this. I asked if there were any additional questions to be answered.
No,
There was none.
It was a lengthy discussion. These airport commission meetings these days have been very long compared to the past, and so there's quite a few questions, and I do admit I voted for this, and I learned subsequent about it being non-union. So that's,
We were very clear that it's non-union.
Okay, well, here's what I would say, because look, I'm not blaming anybody. I just want to make sure the facts are clear, because if there seems to be some kind of accusation that somehow somebody ran this through somebody without them knowing it, I will tell you that was never anybody's intention.
And I'm certainly
And I am not trying to stymie. I'm not trying to stymie debate. That's not the point. I'm listening to you.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not, just a point of clarification. I'm not saying anybody tried to ram this thing through anyway.
Okay.
What I am saying is, because we have questions, because we're sitting here today, we shouldn't just say, okay, that has already been discussed, so what are we having questions for? I think it's always, you always should leave, the opportunity open to thoughtfully deliberate and understand what's going on with this.
Mr. Mayor, if I could add on a couple of points that were made about union participation. I work very closely with PBP. I kind of treat them like my own employees, and I'm not aware of any of their employees going to be laid off as a result of this. Furthermore, I did talk to Bondolandi, and I said, if there are layoffs, because I did catch wind that people had those concerns, I said, if there are layoffs, I have great people for you to hire, because these are good paying jobs for the St. Louis County and city area that Bondolandi wants to hire here. Our labor force is very strong technologically and education, that they don't have to hire in Atlanta. They're going to be hiring our local citizens here. So from everybody I've talked to, this is an excellent company with great benefits, and I don't think there's going to be any union workers displaced. And if there are, I'm going to be working very hard with Bondolandi to have them hired.
Okay.
so is
we're not going to take comments from good. We're not going to start that. We've had a number of places, but let me just say this: that at this point, hey, I hear what you're saying, and I do respect your opinions and your approach. I just wanted to make sure, of course, that I have similar and same support for labor unions as well. I think I've got a really good record there, but I only wanted to make sure that we got kind of this thing opened up so we knew what was going on, and that we were not trying to jam anything past anybody. That was never the intention. This was open. We had plenty of opportunity for discussion, and I get it. I've been in positions where taking a position, and then after you learn more, you decide you might make a different position. I just want to say, just don't blame it on our airport director or the process that we have in place. If there's more information you didn't have before, then, okay, you've got a different opinion, but don't say that anybody didn't give you the right information or we tried to jam it through anything, because that's not the intention. So it looks to me like that we're not going to get the vote here today, because I don't hear anybody making a motion to, the motion was made and
I
seconded.
seconded for discussion
But
purposes.
for discussion purposes, we're having the discussion, but I don't see the votes here. So if that's the case, then then I'll entertain a motion, a substitute motion if somebody wants to make.
I move that we table item number 6 until the next subsequent E&A meeting.
I'm not seconding that. I would like to make a substitute motion of my own.
Go ahead.
And I would like to make a motion that we would work with the airport director and staff so that we can modify the contract to legally modify the contract if possible. And I'm going to use a broad term regarding the workforce. Regarding the workforce, which is, so I would just say that
Let's be less specific, so it gives us more leeway as we go forward. If I just ask, because I think if you make it too specific, it's probably going to be something we're not going to be able to do.
if you would allow some help, Mr. Mayor.
I would suggest if there is not the will to get this thing passed, that somebody just make a motion to postpone it to the next meeting, and we'll regroup and figure it all out, or we table it or either one.
I make a motion that we will work with the airport director to modify the contract so that we could be the current contract expires November 1st. That's our dilemma, in 2 weeks. So is that right, November the 1st?
November 1st and yes.
Okay, so we got 2 weeks. So we will work with the airport director to do the right thing. Is that broad enough?
Yes, I think it's broad enough that we'll just postpone it now and
And then we have a special E&A if we need to get it done.
Is that, Mr. Attorney, is that a?
Because our contract's always late.
That'll do the trick.
That way it doesn't get kicked back to.
Okay, then I'll second that motion. Because
contracts always roll over and lay over. This won't be anything, groundbreaking that a contract laid over at the airport for a couple of weeks. It just isn't. But so your motion is to
work with the airport director to do the right thing, which is basically to give some leeway to figuring out what to do with an expiration of the current contract, which expires November the 1st. So if that means that she would have to extend or whatever it means, because she's still like the expert, I'm not. And I'm not going to claim to be the expert of the airport, but I do know we have a traveling public that we have to be committed to making sure that everything that makes the airport run properly with all of the airlines that are signed up to fly planes. I don't want to stop that, not one way at all. And I don't think these union people, anybody wants to stop the game. I think that the airport director, in my opinion, is the expert in making the airport work. She's first award-winning airport director we've had in history of the city of St. Louis. And I'm just laying it out there. She's no joke. Not only did she come here under Mayor's, and the Mayor, I can give you a bit of credit for hiring her, but she but I mean, she's female. She knows what she's doing. She worked for American Airlines for all the years prior to that. So she's on top of her game. She knows what she's doing. I'm going to take her word for what to do the right thing means. Because I don't know. But I just want the right thing to be done.
So under that scenario, when would E&A meet? Would we still just meet in our
Special E&A to get it done.
Before November 1st.
I would take direction gladly take direction from the airport director in terms of that timing. I know I'm going to be available and ready to meet in the next 2 weeks, and because I'm committed to doing the right thing on that, of the airport, city of St. Louis, and the citizens that, that we represent. We represent this, this great city of St. Louis to do the right thing on behalf of the citizens. We've got a lot of people that we represent. The 300,000 people that live here pay our salaries. I just want to do the right thing. So I'm ready to do that.
So, just can I ask the airport director?
Yes, yes.
Madam Director, do you think you'll be able to put in place any contract changes or any additional language or any additional points of clarification across the next week or two?
Well, honestly, I don't. I mean, based on the procurement process that we are required to follow, we followed that process. We followed it 100% by the book. There's nothing I could do to change that process other than not follow it.
I think that means we take it up at the next E&A meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't.
The next E&A could be a special E&A we have tomorrow. So however you want to put it, I think we're ready to vote in terms of doing the right thing. That's all I'm saying. So unless you're saying meet a month from now, you have to, I hear you and I'm in agreement with you as long as you understand that you could do a special E&A.
Oh, I understand that. I understand that, but that didn't sound like they're going to.
I'm not going to second guess what she can do, myself personally.
Yeah, but that's why I asked her.
I think she could work it
Well,
out.
I can tell you this, that if we had some kind of...
I think it's going to take a minute to
This is
figure
not,
out
let me just
how
let's put it
it's
this for
approached.
everybody here in this room. This is not an easy thing to do.
No.
We are in a union town, in a government that really does support labor unions, but there's only so much we can do in that support in terms of our procurement process. We're required to accept the what is it called under the law, the highest best or the lowest best bid or
Right, lowest and best.
most responsible bidder or something like that. And if you put in there that it's got to be a union contractor, that would be an illegal provision. Is that
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah, so we can't require that as in terms of our procurement process.
That's correct.
We can do things to help facilitate that. We do things with prevailing wage. I did an executive order on PLA. We can really facilitate things that's going to create an environment that's going to be more favorable to unions. And we try to do everything we can. We also try to make sure we get involved if there is a labor dispute. And we do, by the way, last I checked, it was something there was some one level of contracts, it was well into the 90 percentile of contracts that we let are organized labor contracts. So we actually do a very good job under a very difficult framework because it's the right thing to do. So we're going to continue to do that, but ultimately we got to follow the law, and I, as a mayor, I am committed to doing that. But I do understand the concern. I do, as I said, share the support for labor unions. So I guess we'll go with we'll if there's any more discussion of that, we'll take a vote on Comptroller's motion. If there's nothing else, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Present.
Okay. So it's 2 ayes and a present. So we will take it up the next, whatever the next meeting is of the ENA. All right, so item number 6, line item number 6 of Exhibit A of items presented for the first time. Number 1 has been postponed until another meeting. Okay. That's it. I think do we have anything else? No. Before this? There's nothing. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment of this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. This meeting is adjourned, and we have another meeting. We have a regular meeting with Convention and Visitors and Convention and Tourism Bureau for Wednesday, October 21st, 2015. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mayor Slay,
Present.
Comptroller Green. Here. President Reed.
Here.
Okay, there's one item, and that is an item presented for the first time. Request from the Director of Operations, Mayor's Office, for approval of FY 15-16 funding for St. Louis Sister City, St. Louis Center for International Relations in the amount of $75,000 chargeable to Fund 1111, that's 4 ones, Department 160, account number 5666001. All right. That's the one item. Do we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second? All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimously approved. Any further items to be brought before this body? If none, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.